Day one of the NFL draft is in the books. Thursday night, 32 players had their names called, with many more yet to come. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the best available prospects headed into day two. Special thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Thank you for sponsoring today's video. More on them a little bit later. But let's talk about my top available prospect being Mike Green, edge out of Marshall. We know why he fell. It's because of the sexual assault allegation. Yes, there were two, one from high school. It was dealt with in the high school. It was reported as stalking, and then an anonymous source where he was never charged. He was never questioned. Virginia had a no nonsense clause with him, and instead of getting suspended, he was like, well, I'm going to transfer. Well, apparently it was heavy enough to move him onto day two. I had a top 10 grade on him. He didn't faced group of five talent, had a good game against Ohio State. I don't know. They were the national champions. Went off at the Senior Bowl. The talent is there. The character can be a bit of a concern. And that's what you're going to see. We're going to move on to my number two guy. It's Will Johnson, corner out of Michigan. It's reported he might have a chronic knee issue. This is a first-round talent. He ends up falling to day two. It's going to be wonderful value. I expect his name to be called relatively early. And then probably the biggest name not called in the first round is Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. And I get it. He's got limited tools. He doesn't have the biggest arm. You worry about his pocket poise, but I think the tools for him to be a top half of the league starter are there. He can bring some consistency to your offense, but you want to put him behind a good offensive line. That's why I feel maybe the Browns with two early second round picks pick him up. We could talk about the Saints at 40, but I think we're going to see his name called early in the second round. Luther Burden was expected to drop. I didn't even have him in my final mock draft. I believe the guy that we saw in 2023 is still there. He's a yak machine, 4.41 speed. I expect him to come off the board relatively quick. We could talk about maybe the Titans. You can make claims maybe to the Raiders, the Patriots. I don't expect his name to last long either. Some people might have been surprised that safety Nick Menawari out of South Carolina, after just the freakish showing at the combine, didn't come off the board. Safety is a position that just gets pushed back. Just does. Malachi Starks didn't go till the Ravens. They just had to sit there and wait, and boom, best safety in the class is available. We'll take it. Nick Menawari should be off the board relatively quick. Donovan Ezeraku was a bit of a surprise, though. I had him in many of my first round projections when it came to like trying to predict the mock draft. I was like, well, I really expect Ezeraku to go. He's got the production, very agile. He's more agile, more quick, more sudden than he is actually explosive. You do worry about his ability to, he's never going to be someone that can set the edge, but he does a good job of navigating through traffic, freeing himself, or at least keeping himself clean from engagement. So he's got that in the run game. So you're going to get a good player. Again, NFL draft, good players fall. There's a lot of good players on the board. Then I have Jaden Higgins, a wide receiver out of Iowa State. Just not a lot of guys are built this way. He's got prototypical X size. I think he's a smoother route runner than you would expect for someone his size. Garage door catch radius. He's going to be alluring maybe to a team like, the Titans. Nick Scorton, not a shock that he fell out. I like him quite a bit. I wish he tested out. The production was a bit of a step down from 2023. I think him testing out would have helped alleviate some concerns. I just do. And then I have a couple of corners. We got Trey Amos, corner out of Ole Miss, who I think is just an ideal press corner. He's got some legit ball skills. And then Savone Revel Jr. out of East Carolina. He's coming off the ACL injury. He faced not great competition being part of the group of five. He did he had offers to go to the Power Four, decided to stay true to ECU, that purple and yellow. Unfortunately, towards ACL earlier in the year, was unable to take part in the offseason draft process. I think that's probably what knocked his stock down. Again, that's just kind of my opinion. Let's keep moving. Go to my number 11th best player, and it's Travion Henderson, I thought there was a shot maybe his name got called in the first. He's going to be one of the first running backs off the board. Him and his teammate Quinshon Judkins, who I have here as the 14th best player on the board. Those Ohio State running backs are hella good. If you want the Thunder, it's Judkins. If you want the Lightning, it's Henderson. Kevin Winston, we might have to wait to hear this guy's name get called, which is a shame. I think he's phenomenal. I think he would have been in the competition for safety one if he didn't get hurt. He had a partially torn ACL that he tried to play through. Dude's a monster. He didn't have a missed tackle in 2023. I think he could wear a lot of hats for a defense, whether it's deep, in the box, in the slot. He offers a lot. I like his game. I think he's a top 50 player. I think he was at 41 on my big board. If he goes in the third round, it wouldn't shock me just because out of sight, out of mind, right? And then Benjamin Morrison, corner out of Notre Dame. For him, it's the hip. He had a hip injury in high school, and then he ended up getting hurt. Another hip injury, 2 hip injuries early in a corner's career. Not ideal. It's just not. But if you go back, look at the tape, there's a first round player there. There is. So I expect his name to actually still go in the top 50. Landon Jackson out of Arkansas. It's a stacked edge class. Not shocking that some of the edge talent got pushed down the board. He's very toolsy, very freaky. Needs more polish. Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. Didn't expect his name to come off the board in the first round. I think this is probably we're talking about guys I expected names to get called in the first round. Like Landon Jackson would have shocked me. Travion Henderson, Revel would have shocked me. Amos, probably everybody in this top 11 range, I wouldn't have been surprised about. And then I could have saw Landon Jackson sneaking in, but Watts wasn't expected to. But he's a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk. Wait, I expect his floor to be pick 49, Cincinnati Bengals, former DC and Al Golden. I think that's probably the spot for him. And then I got a couple of edges here. We got Princely Umamielen out of Ole Miss. I've seen a lot of people have him as a third round prospect. I get it. Not the most explosive guy, not the bendiest dude, but he gets after it. He's a complete technician. And then another player here that might not have the most eye-popping tools in Braden Swinson out of LSU. Very productive this year. It was kind of a breakout year for him, but he's also a 5th-year player. So guys that might not have the best bend, best first step, but just know how to get the job done. Yeah, they're going to be good picks somewhere on day 2. We got Darius Alexander out of Toledo. Had a very good offseason draft process. I think he's going to go top 50. We saw defensive tackles just kind of fly off the board with Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, Talik Williams ended up going at the back end of the first round. So I could see Alexander maybe making it in the top 40. Ariante Ursary is currently here at 20 for me. I thought he could have maybe been a surprise first round pick. But I get it. He needs a lot more polished. He's not a start now guy. So him falling to day 2 doesn't surprise me. I expect him to go in the top 50. Carson Schweschinger, butchered that, but it is what it is. Linebacker at UCLA. He only has 1 lone year of starting experience. He's been a special teamer for the most of his stay there at UCLA. But golly, his tape is so good. He flies all over the place. Phenomenal athlete. Phenomenal. And then Alfred Collins, he might have a fall. There are reports there might be some medical concerns with Alfred Collins, but there's not a lot of defensive tackles with his type of girth that can play that nose tackle, that 0 tech or 1 tech role. So mid-day 2 kind of feels about right. But again, depends on what the injury concern is with him. We got Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. Don't worry, we'll talk about Mason Taylor pretty soon. But Arroyo, man, just had a very strong Senior Bowl, coming off a good year. Another guy that he missed the better part of 2 seasons because of an ACL. Maybe injury red flags with him. Could be something to look out for. Azarie Thomas out of Florida State. I could see him go to the 3rd. And I think he ended up running, a 4.58 40. And you're a corner, you run that, you're probably not going to go high. Kamari Lassiter ended up, I think he went in the back end of the second round last year, and he had a quality rookie year. So Thomas's tape, I think, still warrants that mid-day 2 selection. Alec Manor out of Stanford, wide receiver. He's built well. If you're looking for a well-built wide receiver that can maybe play that X role, that can offer some just that big body jump ball threat, that's your guy. Cameron Scattaboo out of Arizona coming in at 27th on my best available. At running back, I'm going to be fascinated to see if running backs get pushed down the board. And maybe we see a lot of them come off the board early day 3. I think that could be a possibility. Just knowing how stacked the class is, maybe the NFL puts that on the back burner knowing they could get a good player later on. Then got edge Femi Aladejo out of UCLA. He's been an off-ball linebacker for 4 years and just made the transition to edge early this past season for UCLA. Like 10% body fat. I kept getting him confused with Donovan Ezaraku at the Senior Bowl. Just went off, phenomenal, but still needs some polish. A couple of wide receivers I really like here. We got Kyle Williams out of Washington State, and then Jalen Royals out of Utah State. Kyle Williams, I think he can work inside and out. He's got that vertical speed to create separation, a good route runner, really explodes out of his breaks, and he plays with my ball mentality. Jalen Royals, phenomenal yak ability, tough to bring down, very smooth, and it feels like he's it's underrated how fast he is. He ended up running a 4.42 at the combine, and it just doesn't feel he's necessarily going that fast in his routes, but he's so slick he can create that separation. He does play with my ball mentality, kind of had to, because Utah State, last 2 years, quarterback plays kind of sucked. Just has. TJ Sanders, defensive tackle out of South Carolina, got here at 31. A very interesting prospect that I think can fit a variety of different schemes. You got Darren Porter, corner out of Iowa State. Freakish build, freakish length, freakish athleticism. Took him 6 years to be somewhat of a starter. Still only played 400 snaps, but he feels more put together than Reek Wolin when he was coming out of UTSA. So maybe something to look out for. Tate Ratledge, if you're looking for a solid guard who may never be a top guard in the NFL, but if he's like the third best offensive lineman on your line, you're going to feel like you're in really good shape. I think that's Ratledge. I'm higher on this player, admittedly. I would have him a little bit lower. In hindsight, it's David Walker. He's 25. That's kind of the big hiccup with me. Of course, length and size. He's more stout. I think he's around 32-inch arms. But he knows how to win. If you're looking for a DPR type, Walker's a hell of an option. We got Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. He had a groin issue this past season, so medicals could be important for him. He ran a 4.54 40 at the combine, which I thought that was good. I was scared he might run in the high 4.6s. And then I have Harold Fannin Jr. That's right. We have yet to get to Mason Taylor, but you see his name there. I have him at 39. NFL's more high on him than I am. It kind of is what it is. But Harold Fannin, it's not going to be built for every system. You got to have a plan. He's kind of an H-back, big slot. Sure, you can play him in line, but he's more effort, more gutsy than someone that I think could actually handle the grind in line in the NFL consistently. Danny Stutzman, linebacker out of Oklahoma. Just good linebacker. I wish there were more splash plays and coverage. Just hasn't been there the last 2 seasons. But he's just a good linebacker that knows how to find the football, how to find the ball carrier. Danny Stutzman, running back out of Tennessee. He's 5'8", 200. He runs fast, plays with good vision. Fumbles. Not great. Not great when you have fumbles. Mason Taylor, though. I get why a lot of people like him. I don't think he's that dynamic. I think he struggles to keep separation down the field, but he's a chain mover. He's come up in big moments. He's a good blocker on the move. I get why the NFL likes him because I like him. So I understand. It's understandable. It's understandable. Jacob Parrish. So this is where I think the cornerback class falls off, because in my opinion, between Jacob Parrish and the next guy, there's some distance. There's some distance. Parrish, I think, can play in a variety of different schemes. He's stout. He can work inside and out. Doesn't mind playing physical. There's a lot to like about Parrish. Jack Besh, wide receiver at TCU. Not gonna have blinding speed. That's not his game, but he is a smooth route runner. And he plays with my ball mentality. Just go watch the Senior Bowl reps. He was constantly going up and get in it. And then I got Wyatt Milam here at 42 at best available. He's going to be a guard in the NFL. He's going to be a tall guard, suboptimal length, but good movement skills, probably more for this, more of an outside zone, wide zone blocking scheme. Jalen Knoll out of Iowa State. Could be a slot only at 5'10", 196, but he's got the release package that makes you think he can work outside as well. He brings a good vertical ability, so might be more of a vertical slot. The hands were pretty solid this season. He looked really good at the Senior Bowl. I expect his name to come off day 2. Jared Wilson, center out of Georgia. Uber athletic. I called my shot saying he was going to utterly demolish the combine, and he did. Got a couple of edges here. We got Jordan Birch out of Oregon. He's got a versatile body type, so he can function in a few different schemes. And then JT Tuimoloau, who I thought could have been a dark horse to sneak into the first round. Tuimoloau never really had that huge breakout year, never became that top 10 player that I thought a couple of years ago after that Penn State game. He has steadily developed. He's got a strong body. I think he can be a 3-down player. I got Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa. I think he's very scheme specific. Great size at 6'1", 224. He looks much faster on tape than I think he ran like a 4.58, 4.57. But he's very zone specific, and I'm curious about the vision, because he was just constantly had these gaping holes available to him. Andrew Makuba, safety out of Texas. Size sucks at 5'11", 186. But golly, he may be a small dog, but he's got a hell lot of bite. One of the most physical players in here. You're going to worry about the durability. I'm just glad the ball skills appeared this season. NC, I got a couple of big-bodied offensive linemen. We got Anthony Belton out of NC State. He can play guard. I would give him a shot at tackle. He looked good at the Senior Bowl. And then Miles Frazier out of LSU. Probably ends up being a guard, but did play some tackle during his collegiate career. I thought he was the best LSU lineman at the Senior Bowl. Charles Grant, another offensive lineman, here going to be available out of William & Mary. I think he'd probably be higher on my board, specifically if he had an off-season draft process. Unfortunately, did not have that because, well, he was nursing an injury. I think it was a hammy. But we know he's a smooth mover, great length, just good frame that he's going to continue to fill out. There's a lot of upside. He could go top 50. And then RJ Harvey, running back out of Central Florida. He's built low to the earth at 5'8", 207. He's incredibly quick, incredibly explosive. I like him. I like him quite a bit. Got a little pass catching upside. The vision could be here and there, but overall good player. Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon, tight end. Hands can be a bit inconsistent, but he always turns up in the big play moments. Not someone you're going to play in line. 3rd round grade, though. Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker out of South Carolina. He's a grown man at this point. He's 25 years old. He's got a wife and kids. But golly, he comes downhill with a head full of steam. He feels like he's plug and play now. He's plug and play now. Ty Robinson, speaking of plug and play now, out of Nebraska. Versatile body type, very much a straight line athlete. Change of direction ain't so great. Golly, that first step is pretty nasty, and he plays physical. DJ Giddens, running back out of Kansas State. He could probably play both in a gap and an outside zone blocking scheme. He's very much like a one cut and go. I wish he would run a little bit lower. Sometimes gets hit in the lower body and kind of stumbles down. after a few yards, but he's coming off a breakout season. Jonas Sanker out of Virginia. I got him as a safety. He's a box safety, probably the best box safety only in this class. To me, that box safety role is not one that's highly drafted, but if you're really good at it, I think you're worth going in the 3rd round. Kyle Kennard, edge out of South Carolina. Again, this is a stacked edge class. So many of these guys. And there's so many more we need to talk about. But he could be someone that hears their name called at the back end of the 3rd round. Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle out of Florida State. A lot of tools with Farmer, needs some polish. Could go top 50 just because the tools are that good. Marcus Bowe, guard, maybe tackle, maybe center, out of Purdue. Man, I feel like he's got some stuff to polish up with the game, but he's got a strong body. He is pretty athletic. I'm surprised he didn't test out, but probably a 3rd rounder. Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. A lot of people really like this cat. I think at the end of the day, he's very much a passing situation type of defensive interior. It sometimes doesn't always keep the best gap control. He, I think, only played over 300 snaps once in his career and was back when he was at Arizona State. Could have a chronic knee issue, something to look out for. Isaiah Bond. He's going to be a 3rd round pick unless something's up with those allegations. Another guy with sexual misconduct allegations to his name. To be fair, again, I'm saying this, none of us really know the context on it. So wait for this stuff to come out. Like, what gets me is like, wait, if people go out on social media and they condemn these dudes before any truth is to be had. And some of it's true. And okay, if it's true, let's handle it. They deserve consequences. Like, let's not tarnish these guys. Like, oh yeah, they don't deserve to go high in the draft because of this stuff that we don't know if it's true or not. It's like, yo, can we wait and wait for actual facts to come out? I mean, in Bond's case, he's already filed a defamation lawsuit. Like, hey, this is like legitimately going to cause damage to my draft stock and to how much money I'm going to make off of this, my rookie deal. Like, this ain't a game. So again, I'm just asking people to be patient and wait for facts to come out before you stick your head up your rear. Golly. And if they're monsters, then fine. Give them consequences. They deserve it. It's not something to play around with. We got Jack Sawyer. Look at me going on a rant. Going on a rant in a best available draft. We got Jack Sawyer at Ohio State. Suboptimal arm length. Not going to wow you with his testing, but the production's too much to ignore. He deserves to go day 2. I got Quinn Ewers here out of Texas. I'm gonna have a bunch of these quarterbacks kind of grip like in this vicinity. So Quinn Ewers, I have 64th best available. I might as well just knock out the quarterbacks here. At 70, I have Will Howard. At 71, I got Tyler Shuck. And then at 75, I have Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. So that's like a 10 spot gap. I have these quarterbacks. Some of them have tools. Some of them have big arms. Some have good size. Some are incredibly athletic. Jalen Milroe. It's just they have a significant amount of questions. If you find a guy that you like, sure, take that guy on day 2. I couldn't really decide between all of them. So I just stuffed them all at one point, at one spot on my big board. I got let's talk about Ozzy Trapillo, because I think he has a chance to go mid-day too. Very good tape, good prospect. He's got NFL bloodlines. I'm pretty excited. He's got that length. Does occasionally suffer from the tall tackle problem and struggles to maybe consistently sink low and maintain leverage, but he is very fleet of foot. I got Jared Ivey here. He didn't test out that well. Probably a 3-4 end. That's his best spot, but his tape's really good. Deone Walker, big size, not a nose tackle. He's not built that way. The lower half of his is not incredibly that strong, but he moves pretty darn well. He may not test it out great, but you watch the tape and it's like, oh yeah, if you're a system that runs a lot of stunts, Walker can be your guy. Also, very early in his career, he was a team captain. It's also important to note there might be a back issue on mine as well. I mean, he did have the hurt back this year. I just don't know to what extent. Let me just read it. So what I wrote here is back injury. There will always be concerns with guys this massive. However, the back is probably right up there with knees as one of the worst persistent injuries you can have for the trenches. It was a nagging injury. Medicals are going to be important. I have Tyler Barron. I like Tyler Barron, man. He might not like the, I guess, in terms of his athleticism or even his size and length, he might not stick out for that, but he's just been consistently been very solid. I remember when I watched his Tennessee tape, I was like, yeah, he looks like a late third, early fourth. And then after this year at Miami, I was like, yeah, late third, early fourth. And then Jeffrey Bassa, I'm a sucker for these green dot guys at linebacker. They're out of Oregon, guys that know how to get the defense in basically in the right spots. Even if they don't necessarily pop off in terms of like maybe splash plays in coverage, plays against the run. If they're adequate enough in those parts and solid enough tacklers, if you have that type of responsibility on defense, I'm just going to value you a little bit higher. Then I have Cameron Williams. Don't know why he came out. Needs more playing time. This was his first year as a full-time starter. He's got really good tools, but it was a very up and down year. A lot of peaks, a lot of valleys. At the end of the day, someone that needs developed. And then we have a Chris Hall Jr. out of Ole Miss, linebacker. Not ideal length, not ideal size. Flies around, makes a ton of plays. Love it. Damian Martinez, big body back that's played in a variety of different schemes. Love that versatility. Josiah Stewart, not ideal height, not ideal length. I know, okay, he was pretty solid at setting the edge, but this is in college. It's going to be a different animal in the NFL. I don't think he's got the body to sustain that, so I kind of view him as a DPR. Billy Bowman Jr., safety out of Oklahoma. This is the last guy that I have an official day 2 grade on. Not ideal size or length. Can get mollywopped at the catch point. Plays with really good physicality. He's got legit ball skills, but he is strictly a center fielder. And then I'm going to go over a couple of these 4th round guys. Maybe they sneak in. CJ West out of Indiana. Some people are like, just because he played nose tackle, he is a nose tackle. He's a better penetrator. I think you put him as like a 3-tech. Cool. Have him in a one gap in scheme where it's like, hey, just go and get after it. I love it. I love it. And then Elijah Roberts out of SMU. He actually tested pretty well. He's got a versatile body type where he can maybe be that 3-4 end. Penetrating 3-tech, or maybe even just be a base 4-3. So I kind of like that for him. Noah Williams out of California. Good press corner. Not great speed. Tested out better than he expected, though. But he's got really good ball skills. Devin White, running back out of Kansas. Not a great athlete. But golly, he was so productive the last 3 years for Kansas. You watch his tape and it's hard not to like him. Torrey Horton, wide receiver out of Colorado State. I think he'd probably be talked more about as a day 2 pick if he didn't get hurt, unfortunately, this season. If he came out in last season's draft, in the 2024 draft, probably would have been a day 2 pick there too. He's got X wide receiver size, plays with good physicality, good lawn speed. Just not necessarily like the most fluid player. Just sometimes it feels like he runs his routes a little bit too high. So he's trying to gear down and work his way back to the line of scrimmage. It's not always smooth. It's just not. Kobe Bryant, corner out of Kansas. He's 180, but he's got a lot of dog in him. His tape is hella fun. Didn't run that well either, so. Linebacker out of Florida, Shamar James. He was a green dot, a team captain so early in his career. He is 21. He was a true junior and came out. Flies around the field. I know the testing's like, oh, it was all right. But he had the fastest zebra time at the Senior Bowl among guys that weren't corners or wide receivers. He plays fast. I'm a sucker for Jackson Slater. He could be a center. He could be a guard out of Sacramento State. I think he's got good movement skills. I think he plays with really good leverage and good power. And honestly, at the Senior Bowl, I was shocked. I thought him and Clay Webb were going to get molly-o-whopped. And I guess I'll just kind of wrap up this list at, let's go with my 100 best available. And we'll just kind of skip through it. Quincy Riley, I love the competitiveness. Corner out of Louisville. We got Vernon Broughton out of Texas. Really good length, good size. Didn't become a starter until this past season because, well, Texas just produces great offensive line or defensive line talent. Though you can make a case for the offensive line. Kelvin Banks just went in the first round. Top 10. Then I got Tyron Ingram Dawkins, tested out really well. He's been a tweener for a large part of his career at Georgia. They've had him work inside, work outside. Get him to an NFL team with tools like this. Have them figure it out. Have them do one thing. I got Bashal Tuden out of Virginia Tech, running back. Another guy with a lot of fumbles, but golly, home run speed. Upton Stout, corner out of Western Kentucky. I think he's probably slot only, but he plays with a lot of piss and vinegar. Kyle Kennard, quarterback out of Syracuse. Legit gunslinger, puts the ball in harm's way too often. It's got an adequate arm. Nothing that'll really like blow your socks off, right? And then RJ Mickens, safety out of Clemson, tested out better than I anticipated, but if you watch the tape, solid enough athlete. He can play deep, he can play in the box, he can play in the slot. Sure tackler. Hits too high though. Golly, get those. He had a couple of targeting calls. Lower the hitbox, bro. We got Trevor Etienne, running back out of Georgia. Lightning in a bottle, not a main back though. We got Emory Jones, who could be a guard, could be a tackle at LSU. He's got intriguing tools. He's very young. Dorian Strong, if you run a zone-heavy scheme, the corner out of Virginia Tech here is probably primed for that scheme. Just not a lot of physicality to his game. We got Barrett Carter, linebacker out of Clemson. He's good. He's solid. He moves well. Thought he would have tested out better. Sometimes I kind of worry about him in the run game, but solid player. Elijah Badger, I absolutely love. Wide receiver out of Florida. He's got yak ability. Not the most nuanced route runner. Probably a slot only, but golly, really good athlete. Clay Webb out of Jackson State. He's a former Georgia recruit. Could play guard, could play center. Really surprised me at the Senior Bowl. Like, I was shocked. I think it was the American team he was on. I thought they were about to get mollywopped. I was like, this is the worst. This is definitely the worst offensive line group among the two teams. Golly, they showed out. At 99, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt out of Arizona, running back. Didn't get to play this year. Played the season opener against like UMass or something. I can't remember. It's a cupcake game for Arizona. And then NCAA stripped away his eligibility. He had a really good year the year before in New Mexico. Tested out really well. Was the Shrine Bowl practice player of the week, and then went on to be the MVP for the game. There's something there. And then the last player I'm going to go over here is Chim DK. I'm thinking I might go over 101 real quick. But DK, he's fast. Feels like maybe a slot only, though. Not the most nuanced route runner, but he's fast. All right, my 101 is Dylan Gabriel. This is why I had to mention. It's a quarterback. He's a short king. Bigger arm than you expect from a smaller quarterback. But he does got limited tools. But I just went over 100 guys. 101, by the way. And then we're going to rinse and repeat and go over my best available for day 3. We're going to be live streaming the draft. So join us for that. Again, we're going to do a day 2 and day 3. It's a hell of a lot of fun. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.